When I look back at what Cincinnati was like in 2015 when I was in my early 20s, it used to be a cool, innovative, fun place where all kinds of people from around the country would come visit all the time, and they were well educated, giving their ideas and creativity and advice. Like, this is a video I made in 2015 called Cincinnati Life. Like, this was just the introduction, and just seeing it again 9 years later, and I'm like, wow, it was a pretty creative intro. It just looks like those TV shows and music that you see in like the 2000s and late 90s. And when I look back at what it was like when I was 23 there, it was a whole different world. It felt like I was in New York City, San Francisco, or all those other iconic cities. And there was so much going on. Every city around the corner had foot traffic and people. It was just alive back then. And if you want to see more of this music video, I will put in the link in the description. So I am in downtown doing the daytime edition, and this is where I've been paying to park for years. And for whatever reason, they've now stopped doing the automated machines, and they now do everything by a phone. Back in my early 20s, when you wanted to pay and park here, it was really simple. You pull in the parking lot, you go up to the pay machine, you put in $5 cash, you spit out a ticket, and it lets you park till 4 a.m., and then you're done for the day. That's not how it works today. Like, you go up to the machine, now you got to install an app and put all your information more than needed, like your name, your phone number, your plate, your card info, and all this stuff that isn't necessary. Like, they want more information than needed, which is why I put plead the fifth for my name, to let them know, like, I'm not going to answer any more questions. Like, the old days, times actually worked. Like I said, you go up, you put in $5 cash, it gives you the ticket, and then you're done. Now they want the plate number. They want all this information. America is beginning to look like China. This was an apartment I was looking at in 2022. I remember the rent in 2020 when I got back from San Diego was, I believe, $900 a month or something like that. In the beginning of 2022, it was $1,200 a month. And then the following summer, it was $1,580. Like, inflation was skyrocketing faster and faster. But anyway, in 2016, they started building this and all the areas around it. So there was more foot traffic coming this direction towards Mount Adams and towards this direction. They were building all kinds of new development around here, and it's actually pretty cool. I remember 10 years ago when I first got here looking for places to park, all these little parking lots like right here would have people like standing in the booths there, and they look like homeless people. And they would come up to me and be like, yeah, you got to pay me and I take your keys. And you look at this dude and it looks like he has no teeth. It looks like he's a homeless crackhead. And I'm like, I'm not giving you my keys, dude. I can park in a garage where I keep my damn keys. So right over here was the IV lounge that I was talking about when I started coming down here at night in 2015. I remember it used to be a really fun place with all the colorful flashing lights where everyone was welcome and everybody had a good time, having screwdrivers and getting a little hammer, and they actually played pretty good music back then. But after a few months or so of them opening, they started getting greedy. They were doing entry fees. They were having reservations on certain seats. And on the New Year's for 2016 and 2017, they were charging $20 entries, and the bouncers were just being dicks. And they got really greedy and discriminative. There was a time I paid literally $20 to go in there, and it was empty. Like, it was boring. And I wanted to leave, and so I told them I have a phone call to make, and they said, oh yeah, you make a phone call, you gotta pay to come back in, you gotta have a wristband. And I was like, you know what, fuck you guys. Like, you went from being amazing to really shitty. And not long after that following New Year's, their business was starting to look dead and empty, and the next year after that, they closed for good. Then it became a Greek restaurant for a while, and now it's gone. No, the Righteous Room, excuse me. That is the original building here out of everybody besides Nicholson's and the one next to it. The Aurora, whatever you call it, that used to be seen. This is where all the shit would be happening at night, like after 2 a.m. when all the bars closed. Everybody would be standing right here all waiting for Ubers, cabs, or their rides, etc. And I'd be standing like right back there watching all these people and all these drunk people together. They would cuss and swear and fist fight. Some of them would go as far as to the streets and start fighting, and then there'd be like cops right here sitting around, and they'd have to get out of their cop cars, run and tase and arrest them. Like, the New Year's for 2017 and 2018, you would see so many fights left and right.
Get the fuck away from me. Right, if we fight, I'm killing you. No, I don't know him. Fuck off! Right, get the fuck away from me. No, this is where I'm at. I don't know. Like, oh, let's fight. Now I love you. Let's fight. Now I love you. It's like I love you. It's this fight. I love you. It's this fight. Can we all get along? Free vibe. Help support homeless veterans tonight. Get the fuck out of my face, nigga. Way more respect than you live that, bro. Alright, nigga. Come up there. You go ahead. Go them! Go them motherfuckers! If you're not gonna do it, get the fuck out of my face! Nigga! God, Jimmy's not to get us fucking.
The New Year's for 2018, it was so cold, like it was 0, and you would see like vomit on the sidewalks frozen to it, and you would see like drunk people in suits and ties walking out of the building, fall on their faces. And at this club, before it closed, there'd be like some black chicks in short ass dresses and being pushed out of the clubs with the bouncers, and they weren't wearing any undies so you can see their coochie, and then they get back up and try to get in and be like, I left my purse in there, bitch. Like, it was pretty chaotic. And it was actually kind of entertaining seeing all these fights and all these drunk people go out of control. But after 2018, you don't really see that too much anymore. This over here is Nicholson's. This is a Scottish pub. They have really good food and drinks. I was actually trying to work here as a bartender in 2021 after I got back from Miami. And I told them my experience, and they said, yeah, it sounded like it was very fast paced and that will help you work your way up. They gave me an orientation, a tour in the upstairs area. And I remember, like, after day 3, they stopped me from training and serving and put me in hosting without any training and give me like from 30 hours the first week to I think 20 hours the next week, and then like 6 working 1 day a week after that. And after that, I just stopped showing up. And a year later, I've noticed like 80% of the staff that worked here are gone. This over here is the music theater. This is where all the foot traffic comes from, like after 8 p.m. and even during the day in the afternoon. Yeah, so like literally this entire sidewalk will be full of people walking around, coming in, coming out, coming over here getting the tickets, and they go over to the Nada next door and have some food while waiting for the next musical and stuff. Like, this is where like all their foot traffic was coming from, was the movie theater, and along with Jeff Ruby's. Like, this was like the busiest area around the city. And at nighttime, there'd be homeless people asking for money, like around these poles here, and there'd be cops and security around here for this exact reason. They would say to them basically to go away and to leave these people alone. Like, I remember every square inch of this sidewalk was full of people. And in the past 5 years, you don't see that too much anymore. Right over here is a robot that was built in 2016 for some reason. I remember when this was first built and I had no sleep while being high as shit. I used to think this was that robot from that SpongeBob episode coming to chase me. I swear to God, everywhere I go, there is just a terrible homeless situation. You see signs everywhere. You have people wanting to talk to you and people asking you for money. And I swear, America is starting to look like Brazil and Mexico every day. Right over here is the Prime Steakhouse. They've changed their name quite a lot. They were Prime 51, they were Prime this, Prime that, but overall their home name was Prime. Out of all the businesses, that one is still here. Literally, right down the street, another homeless person, 2 of them. Literally, everywhere you go in this city, there is a terrible homeless situation. You can never walk for 5 minutes or longer in the city without being asked for money or seeing homeless people carrying signs. Like, it's really sad to see it. Like, during the day, the foot traffic seems to have a little handful of people, but 10 years ago at this time, I used to see double the foot traffic. There'd be people on every sidewalk, twice as much, crossing the streets, with people hanging around the outside and hanging out in the alleyways and hanging around all the street. Like, it was overall like New York and LA with all the foot traffic. But now, like, I swear, homeless again, like another homeless person. Like, I'm seeing more homeless people now than I have like 10 years ago. Look around you, like every corner you go to, there's cops, like a SWAT team, like What is the deal with all these police and law enforcement everywhere I go? Look at this. As I walk further down, there's 2 more cops. Like, everywhere I go, there is just police left and right. Like, I swear, another one. Like, my God, where are we? Mexico? So right here is Fountain Square, the center of the city, known for its fountain, obviously. Back in 2015, like, all these lights were on. They used to be full of colors and flashing lights. The Fifth Third Center was wholly remodeled, and they used to be able to walk through where that entry is to the other side of the city. But now Fifth Third bought the whole area, and that stage concert used to be right behind me. But that little theater is still right there. That's where the parking garage is. And then there's the Crew Tower, and that Chase used to be a Brazilian steakhouse buffet. That's been there. That's the Westin Hotel. There's the banks. This is more of the city business district. Right over here is the entry to the Westin Hotel. I used to come in here all the time when I really didn't have anything else to do. There used to be like chairs and couches here all the time. Right over here is where I would sometimes use the bathroom if a guest had the key code to come in, because Fountain Square would lock their bathrooms all the time, especially after 6 p.m. This over here is ingredients, and I swear the past 10 years this place is like never fucking open. Like, why are you still in business if you're never open? Like, seriously. I remember 10 years ago there used to be people hanging around here all the time, especially kids who would get off high school. They would like hang around the door either waiting for their ride or just overall hanging around till they come back home for supper, I guess. But look at it now, like there's nobody here. And like the ingredients place is always closed every time I'm here. Right over here is the entry to the Crew Tower. I used to come in here time after time. If you tend to walk in here more than once, security will ask you questions. Of course, no public restrooms in the building. Right over here used to be a Sunny Deli. It was a Asian cuisine place where I had my first bibimbap. 10 years ago, this place was booming in business, and all these years it was. And of course, the observation deck is closed. I haven't been there in, God, about 9 years. After 2020, that place closed. I don't know what's gonna be there now. Like, I swear, after 2020, America has been bankrupt with everything closing, and it's beginning to look like an undeveloped country every fucking day. I remember 10 years ago, this whole area had a lot of foot traffic with the businesses around here. These escalators have been closed for years. I can't even remember the last time they were open. But up there used to be a gift shop and a couple other stores. This used to be some clothing stores and other business establishments. But like, it's dead silent and there's nothing going on here. Just business people coming in and out of the buildings and hotel guests. I take it this is the way to get up now. This is the gift shop. I'm not sure what time they close, but that's the gift shop. I think there's like 2 or 3 others here. But this is where you would normally go if you take the escalators. Further down is that little skywalk that I'm talking about. I don't know if they've locked it, but a couple years ago they started locking that area for some reason. This over here used to be a massage area, but for some reason they went, I don't know, they moved actually. I guess they want to keep it more private for happy endings, I don't know. But my God, it is so quiet, dead, and depressing here. Like, literally, it's like the nothing from the Never-Ending Story. So here's the skywalk I was talking about. I used to walk through here all the time to get to the Westin Hotel and kind of take a detour to get around the other side of the city when like homeless people were bothering me and stuff. So right over here in this little area, you get to like view the city. It looked way different 10 years ago. This is how it looked here. Now we go to the other side. And this was how it looked. I can see a bit of maybe San Francisco, New York, maybe a bit of LA, but it does look a bit like all those big cities that are iconic, especially with the view of like the other side and the mountains a little bit. So right over here is to get to the door on the other side. I kind of wonder if it's locked. Nah, it's unlocked. Weird, because like last few times I tried coming here, like all these doors to this area were locked. I guess they stopped doing it finally. Right over here used to be a gift shop. One of the others I was talking about. It was out of business 10 years ago. I don't know if they moved to the other side of that gift shop that I originally saw, but that's been vacant and empty for the past 10 years. Those are escalators to the other floors where the guests go. So it's really best to not go up there if I have no reason to. But yeah, here we go, full circle. And this was what I used to do, was walk around here at the skyline. I mean, what else can you do when you're drunk? This is a bar that has been around for years. It used to have double the foot traffic you see now. It looks pretty empty. Like, I forgot this bar was even here, but 9 years ago, it used to be full of people all the time, even during the business days. But on the weekends, oh, it'd be full and you can hear everybody chit-chatting, having a good time. But now it looks like it's a ghost town. Just look at this. The foot traffic is little to none. And all these businesses here are like abandoned. Like, I remember 10 years ago, this area used to be full of people shopping in and out, buying stuff here and there, but I swear now it's like a ghost town. Right over here used to be Saks on the Fifth, which is a clothing store that women are obsessed with. The sales have been declining for years. The foot traffic even back then was little to none, but now it looks like it's totally gone because I forgot about the building until I saw the scars on the wall saying Saks on the Fifth. Further down here is just a couple other bars and restaurants. Nothing really goes on there. I don't really care to go to that area. Last time I was there was 2017. Nothing interesting or exotic is over there, so I'm not going to waste my time and footage going over there. Back in the day, in my early 20s, when I lost weight from being sober, I ended up rewarding myself by buying a swimsuit and tie and slacks at the Jose Bank that is now Huntington Bank by Fountain Square. I felt good about myself being sober and getting in shape, saving money. And I put on my slim suit and slacks and a shaved face and my spiked hair. Like, I was built like a stallion back when I was 24. And women were just after me left and right when I walked here in a suit and tie, and everybody in that matter. I used to meet like some very talented and educated people who would like give me their ideas and thoughts and their knowledge, and they were innovative and give me like all this advice and tell me like how their lives were like. And the women would actually compliment the suit, and overall it was like the land of opportunity here. But I don't really wear the suit too much anymore as I'm kind of getting fat. I mean, when you turn 30, it catches up with you, especially when you don't get in shape like you used to. Now, I had problems with my beer belly before, like 24. But when I became sober and I worked 2 jobs, staying hydrated, eating 1 to 2 meals a day, eating small meals at a time, that was how I dropped the weight so quick. So now I'm trying to do it again, but when you turn 30, it does catch up with you, and it is hard to lose weight. So right where I'm standing is this video I recorded back in 2016, where like this wacky homeless guy comes up to me with a tomato nose and says that, have I seen any reindeer running around here? I'll show you the clip right here.
Sir, have you seen any reindeer running around? I got separated from the back. I'm the leader. They call me Rudolph. This motherfucker is crazy.
That's my life.
He's making me act like that. He told me to put the nose on. Look, I've got a pimple. I need a surgery.
It's just, you see people who walk by like this.
It's a flare. Look,
You know what I'm saying?
Look, hey, the pimple's a flare.
I'll call it a flare. I'm good.
The actual fuck. Literally, that just came out of nowhere. Like, he was originally over there doing it to every person that came by, and when he come up to me, I wanted to get that on footage, and glad I did. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, even when I was stoned off my ass that day, I was still like, what the actual fuck? And as I start laughing, the 2 homeless people turned around and said, you see, I told you we'd make you laugh. And I was like, glad I got it on film. Nobody would believe that. Right here, there used to be a bunch of different establishments and buildings. This used to be Tiffany & Co., or whatever you call them. They were gone years ago. They remodeled this whole area, I think after 2021. There used to be like a bookstore here. This was that Jose Bank I was talking about, where I bought my suit and tie and my slacks. I got the slim suit for $400. I bought the slacks for $200 a pair, and I was able to afford it because of my tax return and stacking up money from being sober. So I thought it was a reward to buy myself a slim suit because I felt like I earned it with how good I looked. I remember 10 years ago when the police used to park their cars right here, and you would see homeless people carrying signs saying used cop car for sale. And I used to see memes about it before I came down here, and I actually saw it in person. And when you walk up to them and laugh, they'll ask you for money afterwards, but you don't really see that too much anymore. I gotta admit, that was actually pretty funny and creative. Right over here at the Chipotle, there'd be like a cop sitting right over here just patrolling the area. And it was the same cop all the time, and he was a really chill dude. He was really down to earth, always had his shades, mostly playing on his phone, his computer. He was just there to make sure everything was safe. I don't really see him anymore. I wonder if he patrols elsewhere or if he retired, because he was a middle-aged person at the time, and this was 8 years ago. 10 years ago, this used to be Panera Bread, I think. I don't know what happened to them. Right next to used to be GNC, but we already know GNC was a declining business for years because they want you to pay for a membership just to get it reduced off on something you're already paying for. Right over here was a fusion sushi place that took nearly a year to build. Then it was some other place, and now it's Jimmy John's. And that is actually still here from the past 8 years. Right over here are some benches. In the past few years, they started building these little annoying bars, to prevent homeless people from sleeping on them. It's kind of harsh. Like, I used to see this originally in democratic cities, but now they're being brought here. Like, I swear, countrywide, America is starting to look like a third world country. This is that Indian cuisine I was talking about earlier. Like, just looking at the inside, it looked like the restaurant was so well developed with the picture of the skyline from Mount Adams. And look, while you're waiting for your food or wait to be seated, you get to play Connect 4. I remember 8 years ago, this was where I used to play guitar after hours, and some wealthy guy in a suit and his hair spiked up with shades literally gave me a $10 bill with a smile and said, "Rock on, dude." That was actually a pretty cool time. Like, back then, people were so cool with music on the streets, and everyone else would do the same thing, and it was a friendly competition. They were like, "Oh, your music's cool, my music's cool, man. Like, hey, we should jam together sometime. Let's create music together." It was like San Francisco, you know, in the early 70s, where like all the hippies and music players got together and just made the city a wonderful and innovative place. It's not really a thing anymore. Right over here is the Knockback Bar. This bar has always had foot traffic, especially at nighttime. I remember one time when I was playing my acoustic right there after midnight, there'd be two drunk people fighting to where like they were pushing each other, and they literally bumped into me and didn't even know I was there and didn't even say sorry or acknowledge it. That was fun. And the people living up there, they would yell at the drunks to basically shut the fuck up when they got loud, being obnoxious, swearing and yelling at each other. It used to be a pretty entertaining time back then. But like I said, after 2018, you don't really see fights on the streets too much anymore. Right over here used to be two mini marts and convenience stores. One was called Garfield, and the other one, I can't remember the name of it was. But I used to go to the one next to it all the time because they had better prices and more friendly people. The one next door had like all these stupid rules that didn't really seem constitutional to me. I can't remember what they were. It had some. I would go to the one right here. After the 2020 pandemic, for some reason, they just vanished. Like, they had like plywood and paper all over their walls, and their signs were taken down. There was no out of business sign, nothing. Like, it was just all gone, including the building right here. Like, this whole area vanished after 2020. I remember when going in that convenience store with my acoustic guitar, the cashier and all the other customers around be like, "Yo, play me something." I would play them like a quick song. Like, overall, this place used to be really fun, and it was innovative, and they loved music, they loved the vibe. Like, this whole area was alive like 9 years ago. Like, this is what it looks like today. Like, it's just the vibe doesn't feel the same. Right over here is the Cincinnati Public Library. This whole area was under construction for years before the pandemic even happened. I see they moved the books over there when it used to be right here. It had a waterfall and an up area to sit down and watch the city. That used to be the entryway. Oh man, this place was so different 10 years ago. Back when that was the entryway, a bunch of high school kids and other ghetto areas would come here, and you could be walking on the streets here during the day and you would see two little kids fist fighting to where there's blood on the sidewalks. and a bunch of old citizens and other people had to like break it up, and then the cops show up later. And I think it was because the kid like took his tablet or something like that. But the fact that you see a fight like that in open daylight, it was just wow. I remember back in 2015 when I used to hang in and out of here to cool off from the sun or just sit down and relax and use the bathroom. I would see like people overdosing on heroin in the bathroom stalls, and the police would have to show up, and you would see like the dude literally face down on the floor with his pants all the way down, not moving, and there was paramedics and police, and they would all tell us to back away and that it's none of our business, as if we have no right to film. Heroin overdoses were pretty common 10 years ago and 9 years ago. Luckily that's not a thing anymore. This is the area I would pass through to get to the other side of the city when taking walks, but even 10 years ago this area, like this house here, was nothing. I think it used to be like a shoe repair store or something like that, but it was long gone and out of business by 2015, I think. So it was just nothing all these years. So it looks like they are finally tearing the building down and remodeling it to something else. I don't know. But that used to be a passing area I passed through in the alleyway and head to the side of the city when I was on my drunk adventures. Right over here is the Kroger headquarters. This used to be a really bad part of town. Like, for example, that guy down the street was asking me like, why you record me over and over, and I just ignored him. So right over here, this was all pretty much nothing, and they remodeled it to new homes and businesses, and they really improved the street alone. Like, it looks much better than it did 10 years ago, and it's much safer. Here we are at the beginning of OTR. This used to be a really bad area to be at alone 10 years ago. But after 2015, with all the improvements from the Californians and New Yorkers moving here, rebuilding establishments and businesses, this area is much better and kinder than it used to be. This building over here is the new Kroger's. On the Rhine is what it's called. There's also homes and apartments and parking garages on top of it. This is also the Kroger headquarters. This is the new Kroger replacing the ghetto down the street. Remember, the artwork over here still looks the same as it has 10 years ago. It's pretty cool. Right over here is where I actually got my guitars. I got the acoustic, I got the other acoustic, then I got the Les Paul guitar, the clear guitar, and I think I got another couple of things here. The two electric guitars I had needed some work. The clear one had a bunch of dust in its jack port, which I fixed. And the Les Paul guitar I have still needs some work. The jack port keeps messing up when you move it a certain way, and it tends to go out of tune every couple minutes or so. It still needs some work, but they were only like $150 for all the guitars versus like $600 for a new one. If you know how to fix it, then it's really a bargain and a steal. Right over here is where I used to sit down and play my acoustic when I was starting out here in 2016, before I started playing on the streets in front of Japs and all those places in 2018. I used to literally sit right here, and if you sit here for too long, a bunch of homeless people will come up and ask you for money like literally every 5 minutes or so. I remember I was sitting here with my electric guitar in 2018, and literally people would be like, yo, can I have your guitar? Or they give me like $1 bill and be like, play this. So, hey, yeah, I'll take that $1 back. And shit got really sketchy here. This is really not a good area to be loitering for more than like 5 minutes or so. Right over here is the Bloom at OTR. This used to be the Five Below bar, and that's where I started out playing acoustic, was when there were groups of people around. I would play something like a Crazy Train introduction, and they'd be like, oh yeah, here's $1 and this and that. And back in 2016 when I first started playing here, people thought I was homeless when I was in jeans and a t-shirt. So these two women would be like, oh cool, let's hear it. Like, oh sorry, we can't hear it, but here's some money anyway since you're homeless. And I'm like, why does everybody think I'm homeless? Oh well, $7. So I would go in that bar, and I didn't realize it was a gay bar until I was hit on by a bunch of dudes. But it's called the Bloom at OTR now. As you already know, this is where I play guitar on Saturday nights and have since 2018. Same area, just daytime. Nothing much goes on. Right here is the City Hall. After 2020, when the George Floyd and BLM looting nonsense happened, this is where it all started. All the protesters would walk around the streets with signs blocking the roads, screaming the no justice, no peace, and all that stuff. Not long after that, they went into the City Hall behind the building, broke into it with all the glass doors and all have you, and they were up on like the top floor with the signs chanting, and I was like, well, there goes the peaceful protest. and every cop in the city showed up. You had lights and sirens, police and bicycles. The chief and the mayor of the city was here, and all of the police lights were as bright as the sun, flashing red and blue. All these people were just chanting and getting out of control. I was in a suit and tie the day I got here, and people were like, nice dress shoes, I think I'll take them. And I'm like, peaceful protest going well, huh? And they leave me. For some reason, when you fight back and say what needs to be said, they tend to leave you alone. And I remember I was saying, what does this have to do with what happened in Minneapolis? We wasn't even there. And the people were like, oh, you're an idiot, you're a dumbass, and whatever. I was like, I swear to God, people are just so goddamn stupid. And as the whole year went on, there was all the looting and shit. I didn't come down here for the whole year because of it, along with all the cities countrywide for the same thing. After 2020 election, boom, it was all over like it never happened. And all the posters like down the street with George Floyd's picture saying I can't breathe and no justice, no peace and all that stuff, all the pictures and posters were taken down. It's like now he doesn't exist. And in 2022, for some like abortion vote or whatever it was called, there was riots down the street, and never in my life have I seen this, which is making America starting to look like a third world country. They had a communism logo flag, and they had like all these people chanting, saying stuff that doesn't make sense, and they were blocking this whole entire city hall, saying like stupid things like, we won't let anybody through here, and blah 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 blah. You couldn't understand them. And everyone here was just a bunch of young kids, and it got to the point to where the police literally had to start blocking this area and putting a detour. Like, it literally made me just want to get rid of these people myself. I was getting so sick of these protests. Like, I swear, with all these protests that have been going on in the past 5 years, like, America is starting to look like Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, and other third world countries that are corrupt every day. This is Court Street. Over here used to be Tom and Shay and Dunkin' Donuts right next to each other. The Tom and Shay was new. For some reason, after like 2022, they were gone. And it looks like it was never even there. I think that's one of the only businesses that still stands here. I think it just got remodeled and changed its name, or they relocated. The Alamir was originally here 10 years ago. I think that's the same location. This whole street was different compared to what it was 10 years ago. So right over here is the new Kroger's. There's always people standing in front of the entrance asking you questions, you know, trying to get money from you. People are always loitering around here, which is why they started having to have security and cops all around this area for that reason. Like, I swear that the entry of this area alone just does not represent America. I remember all these years until now, they started putting code on the bathroom doors, probably because of homeless people doing drugs in there or just doing illegal things in there. They had to start doing codes like the blue states do. And all these times this building was here, that wasn't here until recently. When you see and hear stories about what America is like compared to other countries, or so they tell you, we have the most advanced technology like Silicon Valley and all these other things, but the reason these self-checkout lines are so long is because half these machines aren't working or they're not open, and now the lines are longer because of their slow technology that breaks down a lot. To give you an overall story of how shitty this area was 10 years ago, right behind me at the church over there, I think it was the next street over, somewhere around there, there was a hostage going on there where the road was blocked with 8 cop cars trying to stop the hostage. I have a footage of it. I'll show it around here somewhere. Further down is just where it's a really bad area back then. Today it's actually getting better. The Shell gas station used to be no man's land when it comes to crime and ghettos. I really have no desire to go there, and I don't really want to waste my time and footage going back there. It hasn't really changed much in the past 10 years. I swear, as I get older, the more I hear this artificial music that I talked about on my Nightlife edition, like, it all just has that same beat with a little cranking and prattling to it, and you can't really understand the lyrics. Like, it's just nonsense. So right over here where you see the colorful paintings, this used to be some car repair place, and that sign that says restaurant back there wasn't there like 10 years ago. When this was like a car care center place, this is where a person I would know who actually graduated my suburban hometown up north, she would come in there on late nights after I'd be walking around, and she was trying to lure me into the apartment to have some fun time, if you know what I mean. But I was young and stupid. I didn't quite grasp what she was trying to tell me. I honestly thought she was gonna take me upstairs and kill me or abduct me and shit like that. But I don't know what happened to her. I had her on Facebook, but she for some reason dropped me as a friend in 2018, probably because I didn't have sex or something like that. I don't know. I swear, man, what is it with the US and not having public restrooms? Like every porta potty you see near construction areas, they put a lock on it. Like, why do they do this nonsense? Like, and then they complain about how there's piss and shit everywhere in the alleyways and the smell of it in the cities, but they do stuff like this. I mean, really, if I really wanted to break into this, I could easily twist this off and break it off, but I don't want to get in trouble for vandalism. I swear, this area has changed so much in the past 7 years. I can't even remember what this place used to look like. I'll have to go on my computer and look at the pictures later and put them on here, but wow, I really gotta say, like, before the pandemic, this city was growing and this whole area was like abandoned and it was pretty much nothing. But like I said, the people from the blue states like New York and California and Chicago were moving here in droves, and business owners that were leaving from high taxes came here, and they redid this whole area, building new homes and businesses with the Kroger right there, and more homes and businesses and spaces available to build businesses. Like, this city was really starting to turn around like 5 years ago. But like after the pandemic, all of this beauty just slowly evaporated because nobody's got any wealth to keep it up, and nobody here has got any time or money to buy anything like they used to. After walking back here, I just noticed this, but the downtown corner market is out of business. I remember 10 years ago, this place used to be jumping, but now it's gone. Man, walking on the street makes me feel young again. Back in 2015, there used to be like benches right here and there with homeless people annoying you, asking you for money. I'm assuming the homeless situation is the reason they took down the benches. I can't even remember where they used to be because they're just completely gone. So right over here is a Korean restaurant that came over here like about 7 or 8 years ago. We went here 6 years ago. The food was pretty decent. I would give about maybe a 7 out of 10. Price is pretty fair for downtown. It's so sad to see them go out of business. They were actually pretty decent. Right over here was one of the most iconic places in downtown Cincinnati that has been around since 1978, I think. I will show a picture right here. This used to be a sports restaurant, like a daytime brunch place. It was pretty much the icon of the city because Fountain Square was down the street from here. It was a daytime place, so it was closed usually around 2 or 3. After 2020, it vanished. This whole area was covered in paper and plywood, no going out of business times, and there was rumors that a person from Miami was coming up here and build a Cuban restaurant for Cuban sandwiches, but it never happened for some reason. And so now the building just remains vacant and empty. Same with this building here, House of Adam. 8 years ago when I first went in there, it was an old school men's warehouse area. Like, they had a Cobra style belt where you can take like the end of the belt off, cut it into size and put it back on and resize the belt. Like, it was such a cool belt and a cool store. The owner of it was like some kind of classic black guy, and the store was just overall pretty cool, and it was funky, just like Cincinnati and Seattle a little bit. But unfortunately in 2016 they went out of business. They had to start building walls here because homeless people would use this area for shelter and have a roof over their head. Like, again, America is looking like a third world country, so they want to eliminate the homeless thing as much as possible to make it look like it's not bad. Again, dude, everywhere I go, especially in the Fountain Square area, there are just cops standing around left and right. Like, one of them is a SWAT member. Like, all these cops standing around left and right with cop cars. Like, look over there, there's like 6 cops. No, make that 7 with the person sitting on the bench and another one in a bicycle. Like, I swear, America's starting to look like Mexico every day. I remember 9 years ago, the Arnold's Bar and Grill that I've been going to for years, they used to be open every day of the week except for Sunday. I could come here on a Monday afternoon at 2 p.m. and it would still be open like any other day. There'd be like 2 or 3 people at best, like business workers having a beer and stuff. But nowadays they're not open till Wednesdays at like 4 or 5 p.m. till like midnight. And when I asked the bartender why, and they said it's because they aren't profiting, which means they're not making money like they used to. Like, I'm serious, people. Like, I'm not kidding when I say that bars and restaurants are a dying market. They're not making money like they used to. And it's been this way like before the pandemic. I remember in 2019 they were starting to open only Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays at 5 p.m. Like, people just aren't going out and having drinks like they used to. And can you blame them? I mean, it's like $13 for an old fashioned now. Like, it's just too expensive.
Find the contracts. Get some stuff rolling here.
I think another thing about this city is you get annoying people that say shit that doesn't make sense. Like, it's gotten to the point to where I've just started to ignore them. So here's the question that I have. If those same 6 cops I recorded earlier are still there sitting around and chit-chatting and there's no crime going on, then why do we have more cops than we need? Like, look at this. 3 cops right here, 6 over here, and a SWAT team back there. What are we, Mexico? I remember 10 years ago when I was 22, the crime here used to be double, if not triple. There'd be shootings, there'd be gangbanging, violence, drug dealing, just about any crime you can think of, like fucking Skid Row, LA. But we didn't have this many cops. Like, after 2015, our society and world in this city is actually getting better. So the fact that we have so many cops everywhere just makes me wonder, like, why we all of a sudden are having so many of them when the world's actually getting better compared to what it was 10 years ago. To put it in perspective, 10 years ago when I was first here, there used to be signs right here saying, "Have a safe day." And back when this was the Fountain Square Mart, you would get homeless people like following you up around here left and right asking you for money. And if you ignore them, they will literally chase you down. Like, this used to be a pretty sketchy area until about 2016. This building over here that's been on construction for quite a while used to be the Einstein Bagels, and these businesses have been actually gone for quite a while. The Izzy's, which was actually pretty iconic on the street, so it looks like from the sign I see that it looks like they moved. Like, I swear to God, after 2020, this city has been so damn broke that the Crew Tower doesn't even have its lights on. Like, I remember years ago, they used to have their lights bright and yellow to where you can see it on the highway. But now it looks like that city is abandoned. So right over here is the City Hall. This was actually where I had to pay my traffic ticket I got when I was speeding years back. And I remember they had like metal detectors where I had to literally lift up my pants and have my legs checked for guns and shit. And right over here was where the protesters for George Floyd and the BLM broke into. Like, literally all these glass windows were broken into. The little historic sign on one of the walls fell down. I remember they were up top on one of these buildings, just overall holding signs and chanting. And it was like as if it was staged or something, because all the protesters were just standing there yelling and such. And the police weren't doing anything, and everybody was just standing around. The cop lights were as bright as the sun. Like, it was a real crazy year. In 2015, this was the first casino that opened up in Cincinnati. It was originally called Horseshoe Casino. Then a few years later, it was renamed Jack's. Now it's called Hard Rock. It's still a casino, however. Just, oh man, I remember it was a nightmare going up this. Oh, I think this is how I lost weight so quickly in my 20s. Swear to God, the older you get, the harder it is to go up those stairs. Either that or I'm just out of shape and fat. I'm doing what I can to lose weight. Okay, I'm a little exaggerative, but anyway. So I remember all the houses here like 9 years ago. These were worth like $120,000. Who knows what they are today, but the ones at OTR are like $400,000 when they were sold for like $130K like 10 years ago. So right here is the Rockwood. I think they went out of business in 2016 or 17. I'm not really sure. It used to be bustling full of people because you get like the view of the skyline. And so this right here used to be the Celestial Steakhouse back in 2015. I remember I first went in here in a suit and tie, and the bartender literally gave me a free old-fashioned, and I thought that was pretty cool. The inside of it looked really nice and old-fashioned and old school with that classic music, and the bar had the nice view of the skyline. But in 2017, they went out of business. It was announced all over the Facebook group page, and The catering company I worked for in 2022 bought the building. It was Funky's Catering, which now changed its name to Delightmore. I used to bartend here at the events quite a bit on Fridays, Saturdays, sometimes the weekday, mostly weddings. The catering company for some reason didn't like me. They were discriminating me and singling me out and demoted me because I got a girl's number that one night when I was at the church near Washington Park. A lot of discrimination and quite stuff that shouldn't even be legal in the workforce. I did want to file a lawsuit on them, but I didn't think it was worth my time. The owner of the company was a real douchebag. He literally like treated his staff like crap. He would yell and scream at them. This is where I would go to get a view of the whole skyline up top. This is some of my old classic photos from 2015. I had a picture of me standing in front of it. I was in a suit and tie. And you got a view of the Ohio River. Like the skyline looks maybe a little bit like San Francisco, like when you're on top of Coit Tower. And just overall, it had a real excellent view. When you look down here, it looks more like San Francisco and a bit of New York, maybe a bit of Brooklyn. And over there kind of looks like Los Angeles, all that stuff. So on my Cincinnati Life video that I made back in 2015, this was the stairway I would take going down the stairs, and then I would jump and pretend as if I'm jumping back into the city. And this is where it took place, was Mount Adams. Just coming down Mount Adams, you get a nice view of the skyline on the way back. This was a part I forgot to add. Sometime in 2015, they built this new area right by the bridge. It was under construction for a long time in 2014. And when I came by it after 4th of July, I saw all these colorful lights and flashing colors on the stairs and the waterfall. And it was bringing in more tourists and people around the city. And it actually made the crime drop significantly. This was actually the moment Cincinnati was actually becoming much safer than it used to be. If you wish to see the colors and flashing lights, be sure to check out my Cincinnati Life video I made. It'll be in the description or somewhere in the video below. So now that the sun is down, that's all the time I have. That was all I can record for today's footage. I am shocked at how much has changed and how there's no affordable housing here. As I remember 8 years ago, this used to be one of the most affordable major cities in America where you can live on minimum wage, even in the downtown area. Like you will see like fast food workers walking to their job and walking back to their apartments, living by themselves, no problem. Today, that's really not a thing anymore. Like, I swear, America's starting to look like a third world country every day.